All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're decoding existence itself, specifically units, space, and the magic of self-organization. We're going to unpack some incredibly profound concepts about what everything around us is actually made of and how it all manages to hold together in such perfect harmony. It's a fascinating journey, and honestly, by the end of this, you might just look at the world completely differently.
So just take a second and look around the room you're in right now. It is so easy to just look right through the air, right? The gaps between your furniture, the distance between you and this screen. We usually just dismiss all of that as nothing. But what if that endless emptiness is exactly the key to how our universe naturally finds its harmony? What if space is doing way more heavy lifting than we give it credit for?
Okay, to figure this out, we gotta start by defining our playing field. In nature, literally everything tangible is called a unit. And all that really means is that it's countable, it's finite, and it's bounded on all sides. It honestly doesn't matter if we're talking about a tiny blade of hair, a grain of sand, you, me, or, the most massive planet in the cosmos. If it has a physical boundary, if it's limited in size, it's a unit.
Now we have to immediately contrast that physical reality with space. Space is, well, actually scratch that. It's a completely different reality. It is not a unit. It's this all-pervading thing that we can't touch, we can't smell, and we absolutely cannot measure the edges of, mostly because there are no edges. It's a pretty wild thought. It is simply the empty area all around and between every single unit in nature, just existing everywhere at once.
So here is the real mind-bending contrast we need to look at. Nature is limited, and space is unlimited. I want you to really think about that statement for a second. Every single part of nature, whether it's material, plant, animal, or human, is entirely composed of units. From the smallest subatomic particle to the absolute biggest galaxy, they all have a beginning and an end when it comes to their physical size. Space, on the flip side, has no size. It is completely unbounded.
Let's ground this with a really great analogy from the sources. Imagine you are holding a physical book in your hands right now. When you hold it, you know exactly where it starts and where it finishes, right? It is severely limited in size. But think about the space around it. There's space behind your back, inside your body, between your eyes and the book, between the book and the floor, inside the very pages themselves. And that exact same space extends endlessly beyond our planet into the cosmos. Space pervades absolutely everything.
Because that physical book, and really all limited units in nature, have boundaries. They're highly active, they're energized, they're constantly moving around, interacting, and changing. Space, however, isn't just a dead, empty void. The texts actually describe it as an equilibrium energy, or a constant energy. It simply exists completely transparently. It has no activity of its own, but it provides a perfectly balanced background where all these highly energized units can naturally do their thing. And here is the climax of this whole investigation. These limited, highly active units, they are never truly isolated. They actually recognize each other. As the text explicitly states, every unit is an organization. A unit recognizes other units and combines to form a bigger organization. This is just a fundamental characteristic of nature. It's not a random scattering of cosmic debris. There is this inherent drive to organize.
You can actually see this flawless self-organization everywhere you look, and it happens completely without any outside instruction. Subatomic particles recognize each other and just come together to form atoms. Atoms combine into molecules. Molecules build plant cells, which form organs and bodies, and it scales all the way up. Planetary bodies, solar systems, galaxies, they are all just massive, beautifully coordinated self-organizations. There's no one sitting on a cloud with a remote control forcing these atoms to bond. It just inherently happens.
Just look at your own body for a prime, awe-inspiring example of this. Your organs, your heart, your kidneys, your lungs, your brain, they all coordinate perfectly to keep you alive. And the crazy part? You don't have to consciously manage any of it. You don't have to pause your day to actively remind your heart to beat or tell your lungs to process oxygen. All you do is provide some basic nutrition and care. At the physical level, your body is an absolute masterpiece of self-organization. This brings us to a really profound revelation from our source material. How can we definitively say that nature is self-organized, and that in space, self-organization is available? Well, let's break it down. No one is supplying this organization from the outside. The units themselves do the organizing, so that's the self-organized part. But simply by virtue of existing in space, this potential to organize is naturally made available to them. Space provides that perfect, transparent equilibrium energy.
It gives units the exact room and environment they need to recognize each other and find their harmony.
So, when we put all of this together and ask the big question, what actually is existence? The answer is surprisingly elegant. Existence is quite literally all of nature submerged within space. It's just space plus units in space. You have the active, limited units of nature completely, 100% immersed in the unlimited, transparent reality of space.
When we map out these exact attributes side by side, we see a perfect equilibrium. We have nature, which is limited, active, and energized, interacting flawlessly within space, which is unlimited, has no activity, and acts as constant energy. Units are self-organized, and space is where that self-organization is made available. It is a completely complementary system.
Ultimately, the big secret here is that the universe isn't some chaotic jumble of disconnected parts. Existence is, at its very core, coexistence. It is a state of mutually interacting units finding balance within an all-pervading space. This breathtaking harmony isn't something we need to manufacture. It already exists. We just have to understand it.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. We've seen that everything, from a tiny atom to massive galaxies, and even your own physical body, naturally organizes itself into a perfect balance. Knowing that the universe inherently provides this perfect equilibrium for us, are you truly living in harmony within it? How might your daily life change if you just embrace the natural order that's already surrounding you? Think about it. Thanks for exploring with me, and I'll see you next time.